Hello, beautiful people. Today we have a very special guest, Shraddha Agarwal, who is a software engineer at Hasura, and she has been contributing to Ceph and Fedora organizations. I love using Fedora, and you have contributed to that, so that's really awesome. And would you tell me about your journey?
Sure. So I think it all started back in school. Like I think everybody else, I opted for computer science in 11th and 12th. Even before that was like I was interested in it, but like it was essentially 11th and 12th when I started with computer science and whatever was taught in class, I was generally very interested. But I think I definitely need to give a shout out to my teacher, called sir, who was like he was very motivating. I liked the kind of problems that he used to give me. So I used to go up to him and ask for, like more what I could do. And he used to give me those, and I used to bug him, like, like after classes and like in the middle of the break that I solved this. Could you please check this and all? And I remember there was an inter-school competition. I think we had to go to Kanpur for that. So he gave my name for that. So yeah, it started then. And then I went to college, and seniors were very helpful. They told me about, the open source world, and this can also be one way to do it, because when you enter college you don't really have a lot of idea about, like what
Yeah.
are the different fields in which you could try your hands at. And I had very helpful friends as well who had experience from their colleges, who used to help me. And yeah, so I mean, in a very short form, that's basically it.
That's really awesome. Yeah, your journey is quite not very similar, but yeah, when I was 8 or 9, so I thought, yes, I would become an engineer one day. So yeah, that's really inspiring though. Okay,
For
so I
me,
have
who used to
prepared
say
a few
engineer was
questions for you.
definitely
Yeah,
confirmed. Just I'm so sorry. Engineer was definitely confirmed.
that's
I was
okay.
really into aerospace engineering, and it was only in like I think from 10th when I like was introduced to this new word. I was like, okay, wow, okay, this is interesting as well. So like the
Yeah.
focus completely shifted. But like till 9th and 10th, I was so sure that I was going to be an aerospace engineer. But yeah, here we are.
Yeah, for once I thought, yes, I would become an astronaut. So because I love space and also, yeah,
Yeah,
I thought of
yeah,
that too. Okay, so I have prepared a few questions for you, so I will just ask you that. So
sure.
you have done GSOC, so what are the things that you need to focus while applying to GSOC?
Okay, so like before I even address this question, first off, so that like anybody who will be watching this video, GSOC and Outreach and all these, open source programs, they're only there to encourage people to get into, open source and to
Yes,
contribute to open source. That is just like, a start, so that, they are easily able to, it's an entry point into open source. It's not, and this is not the only way. This is
exactly.
just one way to get into open source. This is, like, I see peers around me, they've created like, these open source programs into this thing that, that they're treated as these prestigious things, that if you do this, it's kind of another IIT for, CS. It's not. It's
Yeah,
definitely not necessary.
yes.
But to like answer the question, for GSOC and Outreachy, both are very similar programs. The only thing that you need to focus on is communicate well with your mentors. Start early for GSOC, definitely, because for outreach you can never be certain what are the organizations which will be selected and what projects will be there. But for GSOC,
Yeah,
certainly you should start early. But this can also be relevant for outreach, because if you have open source experience, that anyway reflects good to your mentors, that yes, this person can handle large code bases, talk to the community well, all these important points. So
yeah,
yeah, I'll say start early, contribute to open source. be very, very, very communicative with your mentor. If you can't do anything, tell them.
Exactly.
If you have done something, tell them. If you know, if you're stuck somewhere, ask for help. And it doesn't just stop there. Like, help out all the other people who are also there in the community in ways, in every single way in which you
Yes.
can help. I mean, the burden should not always be on the maintainers to always reply to, somebody's question on IRC or chat or, Discord or, whatever place it is. And if you can help in reviewing some PRs, ask, other people, can I do this? Because I feel like this is, in my jurisdiction, I can handle this. So do
Yeah.
that. And yeah, that's basically it. And especially for GSOC, I'll say start on your proposal early. And what you should do is you should from the get go, like once the main period starts, after like the organizations are released, and then that you have, like, I think a 3 or 4, I think the timelines have changed recently, but it's still a 3 or 4 week period. Start early, and as you're solving PRs or are completing tasks that the mentors have given, uh, write them all down as well, because there is a section, every single organization has their own format for the proposal that you need to give. But you can always include a section in which
Yes.
you can in detail describe what you have already done in the org, right? So that's basically
Yeah.
in for GSOC, that is basically your resume. Your actual resume doesn't really matter there, right? So as you're completing pull requests, as you're helping reviewing others, like whatever you're doing in the organization, just make sure you're putting all of that in the proposal early on. And also start discussing with your mentors the solution for the project, which is you're choosing it. You might need to figure out an architectural diagram for it. How will you architect this entire thing? Or if like whatever is the problem, get started on it early. Talk to your mentors about it. And you might have to do more than 2 or 3 iterations on it. So get started on it early. Talk about the solution with your mentors. And yeah, I mean, you should have enough room at the end of the day to have feedback. That's the whole point on why you should get started early. Yeah.
Yeah, so in conclusion, we should have better communication with the community and the mentors, and we should start early. We don't have to wait for any program to start with open source.
Yes.
So that's the main thing, I
Exactly.
guess.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because some students just wait for GSOC and they be like, yeah, when GSOC comes, I will start contributing. So that's not
Yeah.
the case. You should start without any program. Yeah.
I think for maintainers, it's from the Hacktoberfest, the October thing, that it's able to like use that get go for GSOC. But yeah, like I'm sure you must all know the whatever
Yeah.
happened in last year's Hacktoberfest. Please don't do that. That is not the
Yes.
open
Yes.
source way. But yeah, definitely start early
Yes.
and start with the right intentions. And just make sure that when you're participating, when you're contributing, even if it is for these programs, the main, I mean, obviously money is not a bad incentive, but the main point in all of this is that you get to learn, and you get to learn a lot, which you won't really get to learn
Yes.
from the side projects that you do. They're definitely very helpful, but here you're basically contributing to code that is being used by lots of people, right? So the main motive should always be
Yes.
to learn and to give back, to contribute. And these programs are just like added incentive. One point more,
Yeah. Sure.
and all these open source things, please don't make it, I know it is a competition, and a lot of people will be like contributing for the same project, and they'll be giving the same proposals for the same project and all. But please don't make it into a rat race and like fight. Just be very helpful. Even if they're competing for the same project, that reflects on the mentors, and they do take it into account. So yeah, just one more thing, please don't turn it into a rat race, and be very cordial and
Yeah.
just help each other. That's the open source way. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember what I was saying that the things we learn in open source, that those ethics can be applied in personal life too. So we grow as an individual and also a developer.
Yeah.
So I
Very
really
true.
learned most of the things in open source. So that's really
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. A lot of etiquettes, and a lot of my really dear friends have stemmed from these, like open source communities. So definitely don't
Yeah.
take it. And even my competitors, right? So don't take it as this competition, but take it always, like the open source spirit
Yeah.
and the community spirit should always be there, no matter if it's you're just
Yeah.
contributing in general or if it's for a program. Just always in general be nice.
Exactly. Okay, so the second question is, does it help if students are already contributing to open source and then apply to GSOC?
Sure, obviously, right? So as I said, starting early always helps because, for
Yeah.
example, with me, I can tell you like personally, um, when I was contributing for Outreachy, it was a big task, right? Because before that, I had tried to contribute to open source and I had done some open source contributions, but it wasn't as like major as contributing to Fedora specifically.
Yeah.
So it was a huge learning experience. It was a all of it I had to like condense into like those 2-3 months that I had. I think I started in Feb. So I didn't have that added advantage of having contributed since long, even if it was in like other orgs, right? But when it came to Ceph, it was a big project in which I couldn't really immediately, like in the contribution period, start contributing to the project specific, right? So they gave me some tasks, right? And for even those tasks, they were like filtering out students depending on whether they have already contributed to open source or not. So always depicting that yes, you can handle a huge code base, you can talk well to your, like I said previously, right? That is always an added advantage, and not just for
Yes.
to show it to your mentors, but as a personal experience as well. To handle these large code bases in the beginning can be a big challenge, right? But if you've already
Yes.
contributed to other orgs, you have an idea that okay, I can pick up an issue and then slowly and steadily uh,
Yes.
like start to understand this code base one directory at a time, right? So yeah, it really helps, not just on a like to show it to your mentors, but also on a personal basis. So yeah, definitely helps. And I just want to stress this again, not just, I mean, contributing to the same org will obviously help because then you know the community members. But if you're also contributing to other orgs in which you eventually don't apply, that also helps because a lot of community members are
Yeah.
also, cross community. You can find them in, like different communities,
Yes.
but the experience is what matters.
Yes. Okay, so another question is, do we need to know two, three, or maybe more than four programming languages, or we can have a full command over one programming language?
So if not really answering just in specific, just in context to Outreachy or GSOC or all these programs, but in
Yeah.
general, having a command over one language really helps because then you also know all 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 the really is eccentric things about that language, particular to that language. But in
Yeah.
general, like for open
Yeah.
source, I'll say that go I mean have one language that you know really well. But like when I was contributing for Fedora, there were a couple more different things that I had to pick up as I was contributing to this project in Fedora, right? So have one language that you're really confident in and in which you can like easily, like in a short span of I think 2 months itself, I was able to like port the entire app from uh, the old version of Django to the latest one, and from Python 2 to Python 3 and all these things, right? So have a command over a language, and then obviously when it comes to open source, when it comes to all these programs, you will have to learn on the fly all the new technologies that they have in a project, because it
Yeah.
cannot just be one language, right? You always have to learn more things.
Yeah.
But um, there is no list, right, that you have to learn like oh my god, I need to learn these 4 languages, only then I can do anything, right?
Yeah.
Nothing like
Yes.
that, right? Not at all. But having command over a language really helps. And and case in point is that if you know one language really well, it will get very easy to pick up another language, right?
Yeah.
So make sure you
Yeah.
have a good hold on, the basics and even the advanced topic of a single language, and then it'll be very easy to pick up other languages, as and when you need it.
Yeah, and I have noticed that this applies after job too. So we need to learn so many things that we didn't do earlier. So yeah, that really helps in
Yeah, for
both job and open
jobs,
source.
for jobs there is also this thing that a lot of people don't apply to a job just because it's not in the language that they code in. Please don't do
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Absolutely don't do that.
yes,
Even if you don't know that language, the company understands that, like, even if you do know the language, it takes, there is this, like, a lagging period in the beginning in which it just takes you time to just get familiar with how this org works, how this company works, how the developers here works, what is the structure and all of that. So it is completely fine if you don't know their language, or the particular language that they use. You can still
yeah,
apply, and then you can learn it as you enter the company, or even before, if you have some time. But yeah, just never restrict yourself to a language and then say, I am only going to work in this language my entire career, and then
exactly.
that's it, right?
Yeah,
Because like, even in
yeah,
Hasura, we use a couple of different languages, and you can't really just say that, okay, no, I'm just going to use one language and then that's it, right? I
yeah,
used to be from a Python background, right? And then coming to Hasura, when I was interning here, I picked up Go. So yeah, like, you have to learn things on the fly. You can't be restricted of a language and Go. But yeah, obviously having
exactly.
strength in one language really helps. So yeah, that's about
Yeah, yeah, very true. I really agree to this.
it.
Okay, so the next question is, if anyone wants to contribute to open source, what is the best way to do that before GSOC or any other program?
Right, right. So like, I think it was just last weekend when I was attending this meetup by Kubernetes folks on like just contributing, and they did a really good job, like, I really want to say a very good job. um, Look for these kind of things. The main point from this is that look for these kind of things. There will
Yeah,
always be meetups in, I mean, I really shouldn't say it saying that it's COVID and all, but yeah, there will always be meetups in your area. And thanks to COVID, now you're not restricted to one area. Everything is online. A meetup could be happening in, like,
yeah,
Europe, and you could attend it right from here, right? So always look
yeah,
out for these things. They can be really beneficial into not just having a good overview of how the org works and what you could contribute in it, but also in terms of introduction to the community members, and just
yeah,
having that start of conversation, that without that initial friction could really help. Meetups is one way. Another is just go, whatever, like, the a platform is, and just search for whatever org you want to contribute to. Go up to their preferred communication channel, or just shoot them a mail that, hey, I
yeah,
am so and so, and I have so and so background, and I want to contribute, and please guide me. And more often than not, your whoever is other than the community, generally in open source, are very helpful. They'll tell you and they'll guide you very, like, at every step on how to go about it, right? And so yeah, just go talk to the community, and do it. Yeah, I think these two will be like the best way. Another is, you're using something, you find that there's a bug in it, go file it. If it is already
yeah,
there, then just go and try to solve it. It's as simple as that, right? So
yes,
I mean, this happens a lot in Hasura, that we are an open source organization as well. So a lot of people will file bugs, and half of the time, if we don't have the bandwidth to pick it, or just because they want to solve it, they'll just come and like, they'll file an issue, and then they'll also file a PR with it as well, right? So that always helps. So whatever you are using, right now, if you find a bug in it, go file the issue. And if you think you can handle how to solve it, then that is like the best way to get started. The community will be really thankful.
Yeah. Okay. Next question is, when is the best time to apply to GSOC?
Best time to apply to GSOC? Do you mean like in terms of experience, or uh, just didn't really get it very well, the
Yeah.
question?
Yeah, experience.
In terms of experience, so I'll say that get started as when you started the GSOC question, and I've been stuck with this line that get started early. Even if you think that like I have only
Yeah.
1 year of experience, how will I do it and all. Even like this year, last year, I mean in 2025, I met people in the entire GSOC cohort where a lot of them were like first year college students, right? So it's never ever too you have to be in an like you have to, I think you need to be elder than 18 years to apply to GSOC. But after that, there is nothing stopping you. And now I think with the new program, you don't even have to be in a university. If you're in a boot camp, even that works, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
don't wait for anything. Even if you don't know a lot, just get started with it. Even if you don't get selected in GSOC, you will get open source experience, right? So you can maybe apply
Yeah.
again next year, and maybe that will work. But don't ever restrict yourself that no,
Exactly.
I can't do, because I saw this in a lot of my friends in college, because they'll be like, nah, I don't know much and I won't apply this year, I'll apply next year. But no, don't do that. Apply as soon as you can, because then you'll get the experience of not only contributing but also how to write these proposals. And then even if you not get selected, you'll learn how to write it well, how to get it reviewed. You learn from your own mistakes, right? So yeah, just
Yeah.
do it as soon as you're 18, I guess.
Exactly. Okay, so can you tell us about Outreachy, how it has helped you in your career?
I think Outreachy has helped me in like pretty much. It was like the get go where like I understood that okay, whatever I've been doing the past 2 3 years hasn't been like complete waste, and I can make a career out of this. I think it was after Outreachy. But yeah, and a lot of things. It wasn't just the career. I had such a good mentor in like in Fedora. It was Justin. And he not only helped me in like all the technical bits of it, but also because Fedora is a big organization and my work spanned through two or
Yeah.
three teams. So and because the time zone difference, it wasn't really easy to always communicate with them. Justin really helped in
Yeah.
that. And I always used to panic after like 2 3 days if the answer wouldn't come, that did I do something wrong or something like that. But he was like very helpful in making me understand like how, because I am new to open source, I don't really understand that not replying to an email for a week or something is okay in open source, right? So I would start to panic because I was an
Yeah.
intern, right? So but no, like he made me understand. And and at any point of time while like doing the task, I was taking longer than I had planned in the timeline, he would always help me out that okay, no, it's because you always come up with these unforeseen things and they always take time, right? So it was really really helpful in terms of like uh, just just getting confidence that okay, no, I can do this. And definitely in terms of communication, like I learned a lot through that. That is that you communicate in open source. So yeah, like communication, confidence, uh, and even like I said, like in GSOC, because they saw that I had already experience in open source, they gave me a chance. So I can say like my entire career is thanks to Fedora.
That's amazing. Okay, so you contributed to Ceph and Fedora. So if anyone wants to do the same, what advice would you give them?
So for Fedora, I can definitely say that if you want to contribute, just go up to the the specific Telegram channel or the mailing list and just go and introduce yourself there and just say that I want to contribute in so and so project, and please help me out. People are very friendly and they'll help you take things forward from there. For Ceph, people are extremely busy. They're very senior and they're extremely busy. So I mean,
Yeah.
you can try out the mailing list way, or just pinging them on, not pinging them specifically, but the respective channels on IRC, and that may work out. But generally speaking, from what I have seen in the community, it's better for you to get your entry point in SEP through an open source project, because then the mentors can give you enough time, right? They have this thing in which they
Yeah.
can um, spare out some time in their schedule to give it specifically to you. Otherwise, they're extremely busy people, and they're very helpful, but it may take them some time to get back to you. So I'll
Yeah.
say having a structured program like GSOC or Outreachy can be very helpful when it comes to Ceph. But for Fedora, I think, I mean, obviously the structure helps, but even without that, there isn't much difference. The community is very welcoming, and yeah, you can just get started.
Okay. Okay. So how open source has helped you in your job at Hasura? So you already told us that Hasura is an open source organization. So how open source has helped you?
So how open source has helped me? After, like, the entire interview process and all of that, when I did get started interning at Hasura last year, uh, it was all the open source bits of it. So Hasura has this open source product, Hasura GraphQL engine, and then we also have the cloud and the enterprise offering of the same thing, right? Which is a managed version of the Hasura GraphQL engine. So initially, I was working on the Hasura GraphQL engine's open source CLI when I was interning with them, and uh, that was entirely, the open source aspect of it. So it I mean, there wasn't really a lot of difference between how I had already been contributing in all these other open source organizations, right? But then I also transitioned into, like, in the intern itself, I also transitioned into scaling out their telemetry service, right? So while I was transitioning from their open source product to their, this telemetry service, which is obviously, like it's proprietary. Uh, that team transition from the open source to the telemetry service was like, going from an open source product to this enterprise product, which was also, it transcend teams, and it open source really helped with the communication and all that aspects of it. But then all the enterprise bits of it were, like, taken care of by this other thing. So I'll say that open source, like, gets you prepared for how to communicate, and how to deal with large code bases, because
Yeah.
when it comes to enterprise, it's like huge, right? And if you
Yes.
already have that open source experience, it really helps. And even internally in the
Yeah.
teams, because I had a lot of I had a lot of experience with communicating with people in, in general, across teams, it really helped in this scenario as well. So I wouldn't really say that it is very different, right, with how these things work. But yeah, like, like, I understand that people, like, make a big deal out of it, that, like, okay, this is open source and this is not, because if you have the open source experience, this will, like, eventually help out in your job, because the things don't really change a lot, right? So
Yes.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
when I did start my job in September as well, um, it was pretty much the same. Then I was like, then I am currently working on Hasura Cloud, which is like our enterprise offering, and things didn't really change a lot from how things work in open source. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the next question is how to stay connected with the organization.
That's a very, very awesome question. Like, I appreciate that question.
Yeah,
So for me, I can tell you that a lot of people assume that, it's only through code contributions that you could stay like that is the only way to contribute to, like,
yeah,
an organization. With Fedora, that is definitely not true. They have a
yes,
I don't think I have experienced a better diversity and inclusion program than what I have seen in Fedora. They have a really diverse, a really active diversity and inclusion program. So I help out in that. I organized a Fedora Women's Day at my college back when, we used to go to college. But yeah, all of that.
uh,
And I conducted a session with my mentor, Justin, with my college piece, so that even they could gain some helpful insights from him. And yeah, so one way is to, like, it is not just code contributions that you can, like, stay in touch with. The next thing that you can do, apart from, like, participating in all these different, so Fedora has a lot of these different groups in which you can participate in.
yeah,
I chose the diversity and inclusion
yeah,
because that is a cause that I generally want to help out with, right? And so stuff like that in your own organization, find things that you genuinely want to, contribute to, which like at the end of the day, when you open up your laptop to, help with that, it won't really feel like a task, right? Because if it does,
yeah,
you won't do it after, like, 2 or 3 months. So do
yes,
that. And just find your niche in that organization in which you really want to contribute to, and keep in touch with those folks and help out with that. Yeah, I think and other than that is that the project that you worked on, you could always, like, if any PRs are coming, you could help review it. You could become the next mentor for, the next open source program, right? Outreach EGs or whatever it is. And if any new interesting project is coming up that you want to help out, right? So always keep in touch with the community, on whatever, like, Telegram channel or Slack, whatever it is. And just don't don't uh, don't allow a huge gap of communication, right? Like, always keep in touch. Even if it is to, just help out a new community member with, some problem. Just always keep in touch. And yeah, just it takes a bit of time, obviously, but it's very rewarding. And once you're already in these programs, or
yes,
you're already a part of these open source organization, you become friends, right, with all the community members. So yeah,
yeah,
it's not really a task per se. It's just like talking to your friends.
yeah. Yes. So after the contribution period ends for GSOC, I think it's better to stay connected with the organization.
Yeah,
So that really helps, I guess. Yeah.
definitely.
Okay, so what type of contributions you did in Outreachy, GSOC, or before that? And what advice will you give to students on how to improve the PRs and issues?
Okay, so first off, I think in my first PR, I think in Fedora was some documentation changes to the existing project that we were working on. Uh, like, the installation and the entire setup guide was a little outdated. So I think I improved that. My first point would be to anyone who is planning to, like, contribute to open source. You find anything which is, like, not as it should be, even if it is, I really shouldn't say spelling mistake, because Hacktober has created that into a
Yeah,
taboo thing. But,
yes,
like, if you see anything which is not right, like, documentation, you find, I personally really am a huge advocate for keeping the documentation updated, instead of, going through tens and millions of Stack Overflow questions. You just go to the documentation, read it, you can find exactly what you're looking for,
yes,
and you're done, right? So, if you find
yeah,
anything that is lacking, just go and update it. Like, during the entire course of both my interns, all three of my interns, in fact, I contributed a significant amount to documentation. Anything that I was I created, if there wasn't already a good reference for this particular library or whatever it is that I'm working on, I will create it, right? So documentation is definitely one thing that you can get started on, that I really did. Other things is that I
Yeah.
just mentioned that I ported the entire app from Fedora 2 to Fedora I mean, sorry, Python 2 to Python 3, and then
Django.
the same for Django. So if
Yeah.
if there is anything that you know is going to be deprecated, make sure that you help in upgrading that. So that is another kind of contribution I did. And then all the rest were like specific to my project. So all the things that were related to the project I did. In Fedora I also worked on, so that included code contributions as well as packaging. So I created a couple of libs which had to be packaged, RPL as well as the PyPy packaging. So those are also, they don't really count as PRs because you do it in a different way, right? According to how the
Yeah.
package management is
Yeah.
done. But yeah, right. Those are also contributions, right? So I did that, and I also helped in the infrastructure bit of Fedora as well for that particular project. So these are all the different kinds of contributions that you can do. And just one thing that I would say that always really, really helps for your mentors and to to review your PRs is always write a very good commit message. I don't see it enough. Please always write good commit messages. There should be a good, a very succinct title to whatever it is that commit does, and then a good description of whatever, with the change log and everything, whatever you do. So make sure you do that. And even if a PR is like a big PR, and you have like in Ceph, my entire project, everything I did was restricted to just one single PR, right? And if you go and see that PR, like it has a very verbose description. Make sure you describe everything so that it's very easy for mentors to find whatever it is that they would need to review that PR. Don't make it a hassle for them that
Yeah.
they have to go to 10 different places to find the right links, right? So make sure you link everything, you write everything in the description. Then for every single commit that you make, they should all be like one discrete change. Don't mix it all into. I understand
Yeah.
reviews can like muddy the entire thing, but uh, even in that, like make sure that every single commit is one concrete change, and you don't really span and
Yeah.
confuse it. Because like right now when I try to review, it really helps that the PR is like one commit after the other. I can just see the entire history of how these changes were made. But if it
Yeah.
is all like either one single big commit, it gets really difficult to understand what it is that because git diffs can be a little tricky. Sometimes you rename the file or you move the file from somewhere else, and the entire diff is like all green, even if not a lot has changed, right? So go commit by commit,
Yeah.
and one discrete change per commit. And a good definitely things which will really help you out. Um, in fact, funny tale, one of my friends actually got selected in some internship just because they had good readmes to all their repos and good commit messages for every single the commit they had made. And this was just for their personal projects, right? Not even for like an open source
Yeah.
organization. So yeah, I mean, you think that it doesn't matter, but it really does, right? So just make sure you do that.
Okay, so these are some great tips. The last question is any life lessons that you want to share with us?
Any life lessons? Oh my God, this is a very deep question.
I know.
Life lessons, right? One of those things is that okay, wow, this is going to take a while. Life lessons from open source from this entire journey. Okay, uh, one is to communicate, like no matter what, like yes, right? Like no matter what, communicate. You can't do anything, tell the other person. You can do something, tell the other person. You said that you'll be able to do in x amounts a week, but as you approach the end, you understand that no,
Yeah.
this cannot be humanly possible, to complete in this time. Communicate. At the end of the day, no matter what, good, bad, whatever, communicate, right? I remember it was
Exactly.
it was Seth last year, and like we were just communicating on IRC, me and my mentors, and uh, just this idea popped up into my head that instead of doing this, we could do this. That would really optimize the solution. And I just left that message. I woke up next, and because the time difference, so yeah. And I woke up next morning and
Yeah.
I saw this like really beautiful message that like they were really like happy, and like it was good on their part to like uh, say that
Yeah.
okay, yes, this is an innovative solution for this particular thing, and it really made me happy, right?
Yeah.
So compliment other people, right? Communicate, like even if it is that they're doing something good, tell them, right? And even if you feel like you've done something good, tell them, right? So communication is definitely
Yeah.
one thing. I mean, people really don't really think that it's not that big a thing. It is, right? So do that even in my
Yes.
job, right? Because I had already this experience with like this particular thing in communication. This really helped me in my job, because sometimes when I was given a task and I could complete it in less time than I was given. But then sometimes I could took more time than what I expected I would complete it in. So always communicate, because it's not just you. Like a lot of other things are also planned, right? After you're done with the work.
Yeah.
So if you communicate it, they will also be able to change their schedules accordingly. So one life lesson is to communicate more and to communicate often. That really helps. And yeah,
Yeah. I
I'm
loved
pretty
it.
sure there are more life lessons there, but I'll just keep it to
Yeah.
communication for now.
Yeah, I loved it because yeah, it really helps. I mean, I would say that whatever you covered in this session or whatever, so that is really true, and I have experienced all of them. Not like Fedora and Ceph, but yeah, I have
Yeah,
experienced
yeah,
that, and I truly agree with you. So this was amazing. Yeah.
yeah. It was really nice.
So yeah. Any other thing that you want to share?
Any other thing that you want to share? Hmm,
Yeah,
not specifically. I would
anything.
just say that like to anybody who's watching, please please just like have this hunger for knowledge. Like don't do anything,
Yeah,
like don't do these programs because other people do it, right? Because I remember
exactly.
like even like this GSOC thing, like this is a very funny tale, and to this day, like this is extremely funny. I was this is back in I think January of that year. I had no plans to do GSOC because I had already done outreach, and it made no sense to me, right? And I was really looking forward to doing an
Yeah.
in-person internship, right? Thanks to COVID for that. But I was looking at all these
Yes.
different internships, and I was applying to a lot of like these jobs and interns. And this company reached out to me with the task of like they gave me a problem statement, and I had to architect a solution for it. And the solution was basically to build out a pub subsystem, and that specifically mentioned that you cannot use an existing solution. So I couldn't use Kafka or whatever all these solutions. So
Yeah.
I architected a pub subsystem, and that is how I got really interested in this entire pub sub architecture, and I read papers on it, and like I got really interested in it in general. And then I was helping out this friend trying to find a project that's suitable for her. And in the midst of that, I found Ceph, and I saw this, and it was exactly what I was like really interested in at that point of time. I still am, but yeah. And I was like, I have to
Yeah.
do this. And it just started from that. Like I hadn't prepared like 3-4 months in advance that I want to do GSOC. So what I want to just say is that your key goal should always be to learn. I mean, to earn money, obviously, because you need it,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
it should always be to learn. And if your intentions are right, it will always take you in the right direction. So just make sure that your intentions are on your intentions are right, and you're doing things to learn them, and money and programs and job and all of it will come your way. Just learn. Just don't
Exactly.
give
Yeah.
up on that. Like even in this job, like a lot of people just get the job and then they're like, it's all chill now that I'm settled, nothing needs to be done.
Yeah.
But even while, like,
Yeah.
you're solving every single thing, I try to find one thing that I learned from this recent PR that I made. And there is always need to be
Sure.
code related, because obviously there are, but you have like tens and millions of things to learn. So yeah, just always keep learning.
Exactly. Okay. Um, I literally love this session and talking with you, and your experience and your learnings are really, I don't know, it's really relevant. And I hope everyone learns from her and apply them. That is the main thing. And thank you so much, Shraddha, for coming here. And it was, I guess, it was the best session because I really can connect with your journey and with your learnings, with your thoughts. So yeah, thank you so much for coming here.
That is so nice. That is so nice. Thank you so much for having me. It was really fun. Like, on a Sunday, just chatting with you about open source. That's the best.
Yeah, yes. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, and everyone, just focus on learnings. Uh, don't wait for any program to start with open source. Yeah,
You phrased it better than me. Yeah.
yes. Okay. Yeah, so bye. My hand is not visible because of virtual background. Okay.
I love
So
it. I love that background.
I downloaded it now. I mean, before the session. So I liked it.